Hey Gina,
Hey,
how was your day yesterday?
hang on, can't hear a thing. Why is that? Okay, try it again.
How was your day?
Yes. Yeah, it's good. So far, so good. Like it's
What
early,
hap-
huh?
what about yesterday? Didn't you say you were seeing your son and your grandkids?
I saw my daughter and my granddaughter, and we spent most of the day with them, and it was really good. She had to
Oh,
go,
nice.
yeah, she had to run some stuff around, and then we took her grocery shopping and bought her for some furniture and just kind of set her up with some stuff. But it was a nice day. And then
Oh,
today, whoa, Bree.
let me see how Bree looks.
Turn.
Oh my God, it
Wow.
looks
Looks
good.
really good on you. How hard did you have to work to get that color?
My beautician did magic.
You are not kidding. We all have like, okay, my hair doesn't look like it anymore, but my hair it's one shade down from inky black. It's not inky
Oh
black.
yeah,
Yeah, it's the darkest brown you can possibly get, basically.
that's what the dye that was on my hair, and she just kept cutting it out. And then I'm going platinum.
Ooh,
So
you'll
next
love that.
Tuesday you'll see platinum.
I love
Wow.
this for you. Wait, yesterday you had long hair, right?
No, yesterday I had black hair.
But it was short.
Yeah, not this
Okay.
short. She did trim it.
Okay.
Yeah, it looks really nice. Really nice. When I went platinum, it was a really harsh process. And actually my hair broke right like here,
Yeah,
bit broke, but it's okay because it's curly and it just sort of tucked up, you know what I mean? And it was all
right.
and then I learned that if you go platinum and they put anything on your hair, purple shampoo is good, but not until whatever they put on your hair is completely gone. Purple will strip anything that's in your hair also. It will just strip it down. But
Oh,
I was a user of purple shampoo for a long time.
yeah, yeah.
Yep. So, um, it looks really fabulous on you.
Thank you. I'm so excited. Like,
Yeah, it's good on your coloring. It's really good on your coloring. Well, let's hear some other good news. What you guys got going on?
I'm under contract.
Woohoo, and you're not driving today.
And I'm not dry. I only had one kid to drop off, and I remembered his shoes. So he was fully dressed, well, except for one shoe, but it was in the car.
That's hilarious. Taking my granddaughter yesterday, she took every opportunity she could to kick those shoes off. So I completely get it. And she's 5. So
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, that's Christopher.
yeah. Although, I don't have shoes on now. So there you go. Anyway, and I don't drive with shoes on either. So
Right.
that too. All right. Congratulations on contract. All right, Laura.
We were
Congrats, Liz.
16,000 under. We were
It was
16,000
six.
under the next offer. I wrote a love letter.
Nice.
Oh, you did? Wait, what was the offer that you put in?
We put in for 384. The next offer
Okay.
was 400. We were cash, no appraisal, contingency, like the inspections only like life or death things.
Okay.
They're not like there's a crack in the window. We're not going to ask to repair that. As long as the foundation, the HVAC, and everything are fine, it's good to go. We're pretty much going to close in 30 days. So I just wrote to them that even though my buyer is a corporate, they're buying it for my client that I've been working with for a year, and this is her ideal dream home.
Got it. Wait, so question, okay, because my friend reached out to me yesterday and she asked me about like my advice about going the Divvy route. If you have like good credit and you have good income and assets, would you advise somebody to go the Divvy route or no?
The what route?
Like, it's called Divvy Homes, where like Divvy pays like.
Oh, Divvy, yes. So I think Divvy is like Home Partners of America.
Yeah, but
And
would you advise?
yeah, it's a good fit for her. We're going to continue for the next year when the lease option purchase comes up. I'm going to continue to help her save and make sure that she can purchase and make sure she doesn't do anything to her credit because her credit's fine.
Yeah.
And they've already given her a purchase price.
Okay.
And it's not too much, it's market, like, so they're not predatory.
Nice. Very nice.
I say all that to say good news is the buyer I'm working with, she did go through the financing, right? The
Mhm.
bad news is the lender, she wants to get approved for 250, but the lender told her that she pretty much doesn't have the credit to get approved for that much. So they're
Mhm.
trying to tweak her whole financing. And I guess I'm trying to decide if I should even recommend like Home Partners or Divvy to her.
So with my buyer, she couldn't get approved for 400,
Okay.
and that's what she needed to stay in Nashville. Home Partners of America, their credit scoring, because so the way I understand it, like a mortgage person, 30 years needs to be really, really solid. But Home Partners of America, she was able to get more house because it's only a year. And if she,
Yeah.
and they've got an investment. So it's a house, their contract reads, if for some reason your buyer, your person who picked the house is like they do something because they continue watching their credit worthiness during the process. If they don't rent the house, they'll still buy it and you'll still be the agent helping to buy it. They'll just rent it to someone else.
Okay.
Okay.
I didn't know that.
So if for some reason something happens to your client, they're still going to buy it. So I say that to say that they aren't as stringent on the amount. As long as that person can pay the rent,
that's it.
That's all they care.
Which can be good or bad.
Which can be good or bad, but that's why, as my client's agent, I'm still going to continue to work with them to make sure they can purchase the house. Because I've worked with her for a year to get her to this point. She was in the low 500s a year ago. Now she's at 640. But you need to be at a 675 around here to get down payment assistance from the bank.
And Home Partners works well with people that have credit no down.
Exactly. Because she's only doing first and last month and a $75 application fee. The application fee varies by state, so you just have to check that.
So that's a good, so there's two different types of people who are having a hard time buying. There's, I have the credit, I have no down, versus I have the down payment, I don't have the credit. For I'm a self-employed, whatever. So there's different programs depending upon which one they are. That's why I checked into this with Bree to see which one this lined up as.
Right. And she and Home Partners America only initially approved her for like $1,400 a month. And then she put in some more information. They really worked with her and got her up to $2,700 a month.
That is a significant difference in house.
So they really worked with her. The only thing I think is that they come in low. So it makes my job harder to negotiate because we came in 16,000 low. So, but anyway, it worked out. My client's ecstatic. Home Partners America actually got me the pre-approval in an hour.
So hang on one second. So because you had to come in low, what did you learn out of that process?
So my comps were pretty solid that I sent them. They were right on the money and the listing agent really did do it right. I'm going to expand the area. So when I do comps, I'm pretty tight.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to expand it a little bit because the markets that they're looking at, they only will do houses in certain markets within your city.
Are they the economic,
Yeah,
what do we call that? The distressed economic or the economic, I forget what it's called.
it's more of the areas that are kind of up and coming,
Yes,
but they're still safe.
right.
So they do it by school zones. Which for us,
Economic
it's
improvement zones or something like that. There's some, yeah, there's a name for it. Okay.
right. And they're going to be appreciating quickly because I used to live in the neighborhood, but it was too far out for my kids' school. But they have a lot of economic development coming to the neighborhoods.
Yes, there are areas that the various governments are pouring money into to bring them up. And
Are they enterprise
yeah.
zones?
They're not necessarily enterprise zones. No, because we have some enterprise zones in the heart of Nashville, and those are not the zip codes that they're targeting. These are a little bit further out.
So they don't work with rural areas probably.
They do a little bit, but you can go onto their website and they will let you know ahead of time what areas. And then before you, when you submit it, also, they will tell you. I just, because I'm from here, I know the school systems very well.
Mhm.
I knew whether or not those houses would fit.
And when you said you're going to expand your comps out, are those the comps that you're giving to home? Okay,
Home Partners of America.
that's what you're doing. You're extending the comps out for them.
Right.
Perfect.
Right. So when I do comps, you can negotiate more when it's your client. You can go back to your client and say, oh, I think we need to offer this. But Home Partners America will literally give you a ceiling and they will not budge unless you give them more comps. And so what I did is and they also do a BPO after you've gone under contract.
Yep. So are you doing the BPOs or somebody else? Third
They're
party?
doing it. So and title, like I have a transaction coordinator, but literally they have someone that will do all the title, getting the paperwork from the listing agent and the title company to them. So all I do right now is meet them for the inspection, because they have their own inspector, and I meet them for the BPO.
What's the BPO?
Broker property price.
Broker price opinion. It is a glorified comp, and it is what banks will tell you if you ever want to get into doing REO properties. Banks will say, well, if you just do 50 or 100 or 200 BPOs, then we'll give you houses, and they will not. And they used to pay for BPOs, they used to pay like $100 to $300 per BPO that you did. And I brought that price all the way down to $50. I think I did one, and I said, screw this, I'm never doing this again. And then the only BPOs I did were, and I didn't do them, my assistant did them, were the short sales that were for a certain company that were negotiating my short sales. Is we did a BPO as part of the package that we submitted. And again, I did not do those. I had my assistant do them, and they're stupid. It's a series of questions along the lines of is the neighborhood going up in value or down in value? And in 2008 and 9 and 10, it didn't matter. Everything was going down in value. It was like down. It was just a dumb bunch of boxes to check. So that's a BPO.
And they're doing it. Like I don't have to. They just tell me who to meet.
Yep.
And it's
Yep. Cool.
And they're not very good because usually they're a drive-by.
Yeah,
So they
it's
don't know what
not.
the house looks
Yeah.
like inside at all.
It's they used to do loans in the old days on that.
yeah.
So just FYI. All right, who else has got some good news?
I have a
Congrats, by
question
the way,
about the
Bree.
Home Partners of America.
Pardon me, Liz?
I have a question about the Home Partners
right.
program. Bree, do you know if they work with self-employed individuals, you said?
They do.
And okay, so if they don't have the
So
two,
you just send the documentation. It may be a series of the bank statements.
Okay.
Kind of like a self-employed person would do with the mortgage company.
yeah, same thing.
Uh-huh.
Awesome.
And
That's
they're very flexible and they're quick. Like literally I submitted the property and an hour later I got the pre-approval.
fantastic.
So the pre-approval is tied to the property, unlike a bank gives you an amount.
Mhm.
So you go into the portal, submit the information. An hour later, the longest I've waited is a couple of hours, and then I submitted it to the agent.
Awesome.
And
Fantastic.
they work all over the United States?
They do. Now they're pulling out of certain markets. So like in Tennessee, they're pulling out of Memphis. They're still in Nashville. But if you've been pre-approved, like they're pulling out of Memphis in December. So if you're in their portal, as long as you get something submitted prior to December, you're fine.
And when you go on their website, does it tell you where they're investing and where they're not?
It does.
Good.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And they send a cover letter to the listing agent. But what I do is I pull out some of that information. I always do a cover letter email kind of breaking down my offer, no matter what listing agent it is, but especially for Home Partners America. And I always ask, have you worked with them before? If they haven't, I kind of help sell it and the process.
I
And
hope
it's
you get a
all a
referral fee.
huh?
I hope you get a referral fee.
I know, really.
I love the things that are coming out of this, and I don't know if, here's what I see, which is very, very cool. I did a love letter. I had to sell the process. I had to take this and pull this apart to put that out there to really present it. Those are some really cool skills that you're grabbing out of this too, on the other side of it.
Mhm.
So cool.
And I
Very
think the last minute love letter was what sold it, because I think, it's easy to say no to a corporate and you're 14,000 under. But I wanted to add the human spot, without breaking any laws, any ethics, by saying this. I took out the word family and put client. And just let them know that my client's been working at this for a year and will continue to do this.
Bree, what word did you put?
Client.
Oh, clients.
Yeah, it was a family, but I did say, at first I put family and then I erased it and I said client, because the protected classes.
Yeah.
You say, like, love letters are really tricky beast to do right now. And
Yeah.
if you do one, you just got to go back in and wordsmith it to get out all the stuff. And they're really particular. Like, there was somebody I was talking to that got in trouble for saying, they put in the directions, go to the white church and take the left, or something like that. Or somebody was
Right.
talking about that. And
Yeah.
yeah,
It's just stupid.
yeah, it's so stupid because it's not a white church. It's a white
Color.
church.
It's a
But
color.
I think I
Of a
think the
building.
other part is church, because that's implying
is that way-
Christianity and
Yep,
people may
yeah.
like church is pretty benign, but if you on the flip side, you said by the white mosque,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
the mosque may turn certain people off and be discriminatory.
I got in trouble one time for saying that it was within walking distance of. And they're
Yeah.
like,
Oh,
no
Really?
walking distance of. Yep, so I had to go back and say within a half mile of, blah, 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 because that's how we marketed the property. We marketed the property because
a walkable community.
exactly. And so we had to go back in and ditch that and say, 3 Starbucks within half a mile and 2, at a library and 4, grocery stores and, whatever.
Because of ADA?
Yep.
Do you
So-
feel like this has gone to the extreme and it's actually promoting biases?
Yes.
Do I feel like the pendulum has swung too far? Yes, the pendulum always swings too far before it settles back in. And people think that, this is just my personal opinion. People think that there's a pendulum swinging like this and there's a right or a wrong and all that. I really feel like life is more like this, and sometimes we're on the perimeter, and what we really need to do is pull back into the center. But for a while, that pendulum starts swinging crazy. It just does. So it'll go way too far one direction for way too long. And then when it swings just like if you held something on a rock on a string, it's going to swing way far the other direction they hit before it finally starts to settle down. But really, I'd rather look at it as a yo-yo, and that belongs back in my hand again. That's just, again, my own personal opinion, is that we should be pulled back into the center.
I was gonna say Northern Virginia, I think, has pretty much said, don't do love letters.
Yeah, most places have actually blanket said don't do them because they can
Yeah.
be so problematic. And if your broker flat out says don't do it, then just do and don't do what your broker says. And if your broker's unethical, get out from underneath that broker and get to another broker. That being said, I am loophole girl, and if you don't tell me specifically not to do it, I'm just gonna wordsmith the crap out of it so I don't get in trouble for
Mhm.
stuff.
And mine was literally a text. So it wasn't
Keep
long.
your text in your state?
Yeah, we have to keep our text.
Yeah.
But my love letter wasn't a letter long. It was just it was more of a love statement.
So long as you don't break up with them on text, you're fine.
Right.
Whatever it was, I'm glad it worked. That sounds like a fabulous program and a great outcome for your client. Congratulations.
Yeah, I mean, she screamed.
Wonderful.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah.
Good
And then
job.
you also have to be careful, Home Partners America, because they're your client.
Oh, yeah, talk about this, because we had this discussion. This is good.
So my client is just my buyer. I'll say it that way. So Home Partners America is my client. My buyer was so like on our last offer was wanting to know how much, how the negotiations going. I was like I called Gina. I was like, oh, how much can I disclose? I had to go back to Home Partners America and read. They're very specific about what you can and can't disclose to the buyer. They can't come to the inspection. They can't come when the BPO is done. You can't give them a copy of the inspection. So the inspection will come to me and to Home Partners America, and we'll talk about it. They still rely on the agent to guide because they're out of New Jersey. So I will be there. So you have to be careful. It's a fine line. And I've had this with a couple that he had a trust, and the trust was buying the house for my buyer.
Mhm.
And the fiance was wanting to know about the inspection. And the trust said I could only give it to the boy, the trust
Well,
person
good.
who owned the trust, right? But I could not give it to the fiance, but the
He-
trust person could give it to her. So I've had to deal, and I've also had to deal with people that get divorced in the middle of a transaction. So you rely on your broker, and you rely on what Home Partners America or whoever the client is, as far as what information you can and can't give. They're not trying to scam anyone, but you do have to respect that they are the client. And my buyer is going to be renting back. So my buyer was like, well, I want to know everything in the inspection. I was like, no. Home Partners America will make sure that you're renting back essentially. If you have a problem with something in the house during that lease purchase period, you can go back to Home Partners of America and have it fixed.
So let me ask a question. Does not preclude her from getting her own inspection?
She cannot,
She cannot get her own inspection.
not during this process.
While she's renting, can she?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, gotcha. So basically what it came down to is it came down to a question of agency when Bree called me.
Right.
And so we had to go through because the first question, bless you, the first question was, who's your client? And
Right.
Bree's like, both. And I'm like, who do you have agency agreement? And Bree's like, both. And I'm like, okay, you got to go read the contract. Because at that point you're in a dual agency situation, and it's not a typical dual agency because you're dealing with the corporation, and the corporation is going to have things in their contract. I'm like, go find the fine print and read it, because that's going to tell you what you can and cannot do. But you have agency with your buyer as well. So it's literally a dual agency situation, but they're both the buyer. So does that make sense?
That's
Yeah.
what it sounded like. Yeah.
And because I'm under contract with
Mhm.
HPA, there's certain things that trump the agency with my buyer because I'm not under contract with them. So when the broker, when I deal with the broker and Home Partners America, there's certain things I have to abide by. Learning experience, and I definitely will use them again. And it's kind of like a tool in my toolbox because I have Ribbon, which I have Ribbon, I have Curbio, which I've had to use, and they'll do up to $1 million of renovations if you have a $2 million listing, or they'll do $10,000 worth of renovation if you have a $400,000. It doesn't matter as long as the numbers make sense. They'll make more money after doing the renovations. Curbio will come in and do it.
Kind of tricky in a shifting market, I would think.
Yeah, and if they have, it is tricky, and they have to have some equity in the home. So if they fall out of contract, they can still recoup their money. So that you don't pay Curbio anything, they take the money out at closing. But if something happens to the contract and it doesn't close, or there's all kinds of things that the seller signs that they will agree to. If it falls out of contract, the seller agrees to allow Curbio to come in and get the money out of the equity.
So is that in the
Or they put
process?
a lien on it, or they,
That's
They
what-
will if they have to.
So they put a
They
lien
don't
on-
initially.
Okay, like a mechanics lien kind of a thing?
Yeah. If
Okay.
you don't pay, you will, Yes,
Does the house have to sell within a particular period of time?
no.
Okay. Good. I gave 2 estimates from Curbio to Corrine yesterday.
Yeah,
Ah, that's why. Okay, interesting.
yeah, and it's an estimate and it may come in less than when they actually do, they tend to estimate high and it may come in less. And so they'll only do what's necessary. And because their contractors are nationwide, and I was worried about windows, windows are back ordered for
Right.
forever. They said that we will have windows prior to closing. But if for some reason they don't, they'll work it out with the new owners.
Amazing.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. And lumber prices are coming down, so there's that too. So I wonder if other prices will start coming down. All right.
Sorry, guys.
Don't be
That was
sorry.
interesting.
I want to say congratulations, Bree. You should be heading up groups. You rock.
And I woke up to the cat screaming.
Why?
The dog ran in, woke me up because the cat gave birth right next to my head.
Oh my gosh.
And giving birth didn't wake you up.
Right at 3 a.m. It woke the whole house up. The cat was pissed.
So much for childbirth.
The cat was,
Yes, too, if I gave birth at 3 o'clock in the morning.
she was like, damn it.
Well, were the kittens okay?
Yeah, it's one
Oh, just one.
Oh,
cat.
her first litter?
No, it's her second.
That's tiny.
Yeah. So I mean, she screamed, the whole house woke up. My son came in, he was traumatized. Cat hanging out of her. Like
So I had my grandmother left me with Great Danes. I used to live with my grandmother before she moved to Arizona. She moved to Arizona and left me with 2 of the Great Danes and did not tell me that one of them was pregnant. Which I didn't know. I was like, I don't know, 19 years old. I didn't know. On New Year's Eve at midnight, this dog that I did not even know was pregnant. That's how stupid I was. Now, okay, you got to picture a 19-year-old who's been underage drinking for a while on New Year's Eve, like at midnight, there's no condition to have this happen. Ran in, boom, had a puppy. I was like, so I called up my Grams, who's at the time was an hour later in Arizona. And I'm like, you got to help me. Like, I don't know what to do. So she walked me through, cleaning up the doggy and the puppy and all of that. And then we kept her there and then just watched her. And then an hour later, she had another one. I called my grandmother again. I said, oh my gosh, another one. And then an hour later, she had another one. And an hour later, she had another one. And an hour later, she had another one.
no,
And
ma'am.
and finally, I think about 4 o'clock in the morning, my grandmother said, I think you got this. Stop calling me. So I did. And at 6 o'clock in the morning, we had 6 puppies at that point, or 7, whatever it was. Yeah, I think it was 7. It was
Great
7,
Danes.
because all Great Danes, exactly, in the middle of winter in Washington State. And so then I waited like an extra hour or 2, and I'm so tired, right? And I finally went to bed because it was 2 hours and we had 7 puppies. And I was like, all right, 7 puppies, everybody's good. I'm going to bed. And I set my clock to get up in 2 hours just to check and make sure that everything was okay. And so I went out there and it's like, I don't know, 11 o'clock in the morning at this point. And mind you, I mean, I'm sober now and I've been sober for a long time, but mind you, it was New Year's Eve and I get out and it's, whatever time in the morning it is. And the dog's in the corner with all these puppies. And I'm like 2, 4, 6, 8, not 9. I'm like 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. And I'm like, I went through all of this and you had 2 on your own and didn't even need me. Like, good Lord. So we had 11 Great Dane puppies in the middle of winter. Now 11 Great Dane dogs in the middle of winter in Washington State. So cold, they can't go outside. Oh my gosh. It was just, yeah. So there you go. There's my puppy and my dog story. So you had one kitty that screamed. Yeah, that's right. Now at 3 o'clock in the morning is pretty rude. I will say this though, at the time we sold the puppies and they sold for between $400 to $600 per puppy. So as a 19-year-old back then, that was decent money.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway.
The good thing is that they were tiny though. When they're born, they're all tiny.
about yay big.
Yeah.
Yeah, about this big. So yeah, you're right. But they grow really quickly. And when Great Danes lay
Very
around the house,
fast.
they lay around the entire house. I mean, they were absolutely huge dogs. I have a picture of my grandmother with Thor. Just see if I can find that picture. 'Cause my grandmother is 5'2", little tiny blonde, and she's sitting down petting this dog like this. You know, this dog is just, its head is as big as her whole body. It was just great to see my little tiny grandma with all these dogs. So anyway. All right,
Lovely.
y'all. I gotta go. Today is my first day of success coach training, 4 days of success coach training. I know, I'm so excited. So I hope you all have amazing days. Thank you for everybody. And again, thank you, Bree.
You're welcome. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.